All right, my PC friends, welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today I want to talk about my experience with PC gaming and why I'm I'm a little bit I like it, but then I hate it at the same time. So, if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, I've been thinking about this for the last little while. You guys always wonder, probably like, why doesn't this guy just conform to what everybody else says? Well, because I think it's a scam. I think PC gaming is the biggest freaking scam on the planet, like bar none. I mean, there's other scams, obviously, but when it comes to PC gaming, I think it's an absolute scam, and I'm never going to conform to what all the other creators and all of that, and it's fine. Like, I get it, man. People get addicted to the whole like upgrade process. I used to be like that with my phones, with my cell phones. I was like, oh my gosh, new phone's out. I gotta have it, gotta have it, gotta have it, gotta have it. Day one, pre-ordering them all the time, and for what? For a marginal upgrade, to be able to just flip around. Dude, it was such a waste of money. And I know that now because I've been waiting significantly longer before upgrading my phones now, and it's the same every time I get a new one, and that's just the same way it is with PC gaming. But with PC gaming, there, if you haven't noticed, I've noticed this very quickly when it comes to PC gaming. Once you get to a certain point, like you plateau on your visuals. Like there's no more. Like I've like if, and think about it. You go back to any game, you buy a game, it doesn't matter. From generation to generation to generation, if you were able to max that game out, you're never getting better visual quality out of it. Like if you were able to max it out, that was the max it could ever go. So what do you chase? You chase frame rates. But why? Why are you chasing frame rates? You know what I mean? Like you get a higher frame rate. And yes, it does make the game smoother and smoother and smoother. Well, PC gaming, it's always kind of tied to like the resolution of your screen. So for in my instance, okay, with the 3080, I could have easily went to 1080p and still continued to play my games at max settings on a 1080p monitor, and it would have looked just fine. But for some reason, like I know me, like I bought the 1440p monitor, and I was starting to struggle on some of those games. And I was like, what the freak is going on here? This 3080, like, if we go back and we look at the 3080, like the 3080 is not a slouch of a card. Like it's not. It's more powerful than both the Xbox, the PlayStation. It's got good tech and everything. 320-bit bus. I mean, that card was a freaking powerhouse when it first launched, was it not? It was. And then just a couple years later, some imaginary wall of VRAM, like VRAM, severely limits what that card can do going forward. The developers' games get more demanding. They get better textures. They get better whatever. But that card, essentially, just after a couple years, and this is the biggest reason I say this is a scam. If the card would have been able to keep pushing forward, at least 1440p. 4K is still pretty expensive to run. The 4090 even hit every single game at like 4K 60 is the barometer of like, okay, this is a 4K card. Because I think we can all agree as gamers, 60 frames a second on PC should be the absolute minimum. So I mean, when you're putting a game on there with your ultra settings or whatever, and you're not even getting 60 frames a second on like the top of the line card, it just makes you wonder, like, okay, so how much power do I need to actually get 4K 60? Like what exactly is it that I need for that? And like nobody can tell you. It just depends. Like some games you'll get 4K 60, some games you won't. Some games are just going to be really heavy. I mean, like, take for instance Cyberpunk 2077. That game is still a very, very heavy game. And if you look at it, like, I mean, it's a beautiful game. It does have all of the ray tracing and all of the other stuff in there. But at the same time, like, it's still technically like a last gen game. You know, we've seen. I coming from consoles to PC has been pretty nerve wracking. You know, trying to get in here and learn things on the go and learn things on the fly and try to apply, you know, what I know from the consoles over to the PC space and try to move forward with that. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. I don't know how to go about like this PC thing, especially with the channel, man. I'm not ever gonna conform to what the rest of the PC space is doing, because that just creates more of the problem that never gets solved. Like, the problem never gets solved. We want to be able to experience these games and enjoy them. That's the whole point. You want to buy a graphics card and you want longevity out of it. I mean, maybe not like for the rest of your life or something, but I feel like at the start of a console generation, if you buy a top end card, you should be able to play those games way better than what the console should do. I mean, that would be, at least for me, you know. I mean, if you're spending that much more on a PC, 5 times more than a console on a PC, like, yeah, dude, that PC should last you easily throughout the rest of the console generation. But for some reason, they only get a couple years, you know, like 3-4 years or something. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, well, these aren't going to run. And then you look over at the console and you're like, what the freak, man? The console's still running and the games are starting to look better. Like, why is my PC starting to fall by the wayside? Those are questions that nobody can ever seem to answer. And the go-to is, well, games are getting more demanding. Dude, they're still playing on the console and they're still looking better every time they come out. Come on, man. Like, seriously, find me a better argument that's going to make sense in why a $2,500 PC can't outlast a freaking $500 console. You know, explain that to me. Nobody seems to ever be able to explain that. It's always just like, oh man, let's go to the next best thing. Let's go to the next best thing. And I get that. That is 100% baked in to the PC market space. Like, it is. Like, it 100% is. Now, I look at the way NVIDIA does things, and I'm like, okay, NVIDIA is for the enthusiast class, the people that are 100% wanting to stay on that I call it the hamster wheel here, that want to stay on a hamster wheel, that want to just roll with the new tech every 2 years when it comes out. They just want to have it. They want to be the first. They just want that bleeding edge experience that they think they're getting out of buying an NVIDIA graphics card every 2 years. Well, I mean, if you look at it this way, Kay, so the 20 series is the first one that had ray tracing come out. You know, then your 30 series, now your 40 series, and now each card is starting to like move in a different direction and offer more stuff that like the older cards aren't going to be able to do much later. So I mean, you're kind of, if you want that NVIDIA experience, like, you don't really have any choice but to continue to upgrade, because as that tech upgrades and they leave other cards behind, do you really think developers are going to like really want to go back and try to support those older technologies as much as I mean, obviously they'll keep supporting like DLSS2 and stuff, but as it gets better and better and better, like, I don't know, man. I don't know if something so trivial like frame gen on the NVIDIA graphics cards on the 30 series or the 20 series wasn't possible, with all of NVIDIA's infinite wisdom and how they build their products, then it just goes to it just makes me think that NVIDIA is the kind of company that will build in new tech and move forward, because they're moving so fast with it. I mean, obviously the AI thing is creating a situation to where it's just going to keep moving forward, and it's not like these. I don't think that. Basically, is what I'm saying is I don't think the like the foresight in what they're putting into the cards, hardware wise, is keeping up with the pace of what the AI is being able to push forward. So you might have like, hey guys, well, if we put this in here, then we'll be able to get the AI to do this. You know, like they'll put different types of hardware in the newer cards that like might not be possible on the older cards, because that's what everybody's trying to say. That's the reason why the 30 series couldn't do the frame gen or anything else like that. So maybe their hardware department and their AI department is going to start separating even further, and then I don't know, man. That just sounds like a hamster wheel to me. That does. I mean, don't get me wrong. The tech sounds cool. Now that I've had an opportunity to play around with frame gen, I do think that there is a future for that. I mean, for like single player games, and if you're playing with a controller, something like that, I do think there's space. I do think there's I do think there's space in the game. I do think there's space in gaming for those type of technologies, and for them to be able to bring those to games. But at the same time, like I don't know if it's gonna be useful for everything. If that makes any sense. Like it's useful for some stuff, and it does kind of enhance the experience. But on the other hand, it might not be as useful for certain types of genres. So it might just be kind of a it might just be kind of like a niche thing for certain games, and that's fine. I mean, we got VR and all this other stuff, but when it comes to AMD though, I want to talk about this because after playing around with this AMD's fluid motion frames on games that are, that don't have fluid motion frames built into them, this technology from AMD is so hit or miss that, I mean, if you can tolerate things, it's fine. Like some of it, like it's fine. Like it works. It does what it's supposed to do, for single player games, anyways. And for them to be able to just bring that to these cards and support all these device or all these games, that's kind of the forward thinking that I think that a lot of people don't give AMD credit for. Nvidia is always like pushing the boundaries forward and pushing it forward and pushing it forward, and AMD is a little bit different. AMD is more of a gamer focused, hardware. It's like, hey man, buy this hardware, and we're gonna try to make it last a little bit longer. I would say your average Nvidia card is gonna last you like anywhere from like 2 to 3 years before you start feeling like you need to upgrade. And I'd say AMD is probably about 2 generations, I think, before you're like, oh man, I need to upgrade. And see, and I mean, technically that's fine, but you never know because of the AMD track record if their next generation after is going to be good enough to upgrade. But I kind of feel like with this AMD stack, or with the AMD's newer RDNA 2 or RDNA cards, I do feel like they're getting better. I feel like they're learning some lessons, stuff like that. So I wouldn't completely write AMD off, and I think it would be wise for gamers to at least give it a try sometime, so that they can so that you're more well rounded. You know what I mean? Like, see if the feature set and the stuff that AMD offers is worth it for you to be able to like leave some of that on the table. Because if you really look at it, the games on Nvidia that run really well on Nvidia, like with the ray tracing and stuff like that, they do leave some to be desired on the AMD card. I'm not gonna lie. Like I do kind of wish that my card, would produce, at least the same performance as like a 4080 when it comes to Cyberpunk, or maybe a little bit less. I would like to be able to have like a quality setting instead of ultra quality or ultra performance when I'm trying to play around with path tracing. But to me, yes, I would love to have it, but it's not worth, in my mind, the extra money that I would have to pay to get that. Like, it's just not worth it for me for one game, or maybe a couple of games before the end of this generation. I'll tell you what, by the end of this generation, I bet that there will not be, because we got about a year left. There will not be enough games that will fully utilize the path tracing and the DLSS 3.5 and all of that stuff before it's time to upgrade to a new card. So in my mind, that's just waste of money. And when I bought the 3080 and all the goodies for the next generation cards kind of got wiped from that, and it's like, dude, if you want this, you got to upgrade either way. That right there put like this thing in my mind that I was like, dude, I'm off this hamster wheel. Like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, that made me so mad that I was like, really, dude? I'm not even gonna be able to experience like frame gen with this. Like, what the heck? Why? That ruined things for me, man. It made me really realize that, like, look, dude, this is a hamster wheel, and now I'm sitting with AMD, and there's a real possibility that AMD's fluid motion frames might not even come to the 6000 series. It might not even come to the 6000 series. They're working on it. I've talked to somebody, like on the inside, and they say they're working on it, but they're not ready to commit. Like they can't commit to being able to make that happen. And I'm like, gosh dang, dude, that really sucks. But I mean, I get it. Like the being able to just flip a switch and have fluid motion frames on any DX11 or DX12 game, right there, and that in itself is already a monumental, like wow, dude, that's pretty freaking cool. But then bringing it to like older cards and stuff, I don't know. I don't understand why it won't work. Maybe it's just there's not enough processing units or something in the older. But then if you can run it on a 7600 XT, why can't it run on a 6950 XT? Why can't it run on this? It's the same thing that I have the problem with NVIDIA. If it can run on your lowest tier stack card, why can't it run on last generation's higher tier stack cards? And that's my thing. Like, if it can run on the base model of the newer generation stack, I don't want to hear it's not possible on the 6950 XT, 6900, 6800 XT. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear like, yeah, we're committed to bringing out. We should be able to do it. We're working out some bugs. The architecture is a little bit different. Like the chip, whatever excuse. But I just want to hear like some commitment from this. You know what I mean? Like, I want commitment. I want them to be able to fix this. But right now, let's face it. AMD's fluid motion frames are not they're not perfect. There's issues. There's things that like need to be ironed out before this thing goes mainstream. And I'm grateful that I've got to try it out. And that's why I'm not like, that's why I don't go into it, and that's why I don't tear it apart. That's why I'm not freaking out about it. That's why I'm not demanding better. It's because, like, right now, man, this is a tech preview. This is not done. This is they're asking for feedback and stuff like that from gamers, and I like that. I like that they're bringing you in and giving you the opportunity to try it, to see if it's something that they should continue to focus, resources on, or if they should just move on to something else. Because all of this tech takes time to make better. It does, and with with a smaller user base on the AMD platform, they actually have 7000 series GPUs. Like, I get, like, hey man, should we continue to pump money into this, or should we just move forward? Like, I get that. People want these features and they demand these features. But then when they bring them out, instead of being like constructive in the criticism, they just jump to right. Oh man, it's trash. Just to try to get a few clicks off of YouTube, they jump right to trash and everything just to get the clicks. Now, me personally, yeah. I'm not, I do stand corrected in terms of fluid motion frames and fake frame rate. Like, I do. Like, I stand corrected. It is interesting to see how much smoother it can make your game experience. Like, it's cool. But at the same time, it's not something that I want developers to rely on. Like, I don't want them to rely on these techniques to make a game run better, especially if they're not going to provide you. I don't know, man. I just kind of see PC as that space where you're buying a PC to get that raw freaking power. That's what I imagined PC being. I didn't imagine PC bringing in all these console level features because that's what it feels like now. Now it's starting to feel like a console. It's starting to feel just like an Xbox or an Xbox Super Series X. I mean, I've got all the same stuff that my Xbox can do. Why not just play it on the Xbox? You know what I mean? I'm paying for more power to play games that I can already play on my Xbox on like a 1440p or a 1080p screen and have them look just fine. You know what I mean? Like I've already got, the power of the Xbox or the power of the PlayStation 5 even. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think PC is starting. Well, it's been a scam. It's always been a scam, man. Like these cards come out every 2 years, doubling the power, doubling the power, doubling the power. But now they're not even trying to double the power anymore. They're just trying to double the freaking the AI upscalers and all of this nonsense. It's a scam now, and it's going to get scammier. Trust me, it's going to get scammier before it gets any better, because that's the age we're in now. We're no longer chasing, Moore's law, doubling everything. Now we're more like we're more worried about creating software solutions or AI solutions to provide those features that we should be able to kind of get in power wise. And we're not, dude, the developers don't even freaking fully utilize the hardware we have now. If I guarantee it, if you got the best CPU, the best GPU on the market, and you had developers code exactly for that setup, and they code their game out, and they're like, all right, this game was built for this platform. These are the specs that you need to run this game the way it was designed. I guarantee they could push this stuff so much freaking further than what we got right now. I'm surprised. Like I am surprised that like this is where we're at, even on PC. Now, I mean, when you listen to like the PC guys talk about how great PC is, like you coming from the console, you have like these wild expectations. Like your expectations are so freaking wild, it's not even funny. And then when you get there and you're like, wait a minute, man, it looks just like my Xbox. Feels better though. It looks just like my Xbox. Oh, look, I can see a little bit better shadow or something. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that looks a little bit sharper. That looks a little bit more detailed. But it still looks the same from 5 feet away. It's not that much of an upgrade. It's not like I mean, it is. Like I am kind of downplaying it a little bit, but at the same time, like if you've never seen it on a PC, like you would be none the wiser. You would be none the wiser, and you wouldn't even know. Like you wouldn't even know the difference. Like you'd be still happy with your console experience. Because I mean, think about it, man. 35 years I was on the console, and like I was consistently happy with that until 4K TVs came out, and then things started to fall apart, man. But now we're at a day and age where like, dude, it's getting close enough now to where finding like major differences is really not that big of a gap. And just like with AMD and Nvidia graphics cards, man, like the gap is not as big as everybody tries to make it out to be. And it's just sad, because I think that a lot more gamers could have a more enjoyable experience on a more powerful AMD card. If they spent what they're paying for the Nvidia card, they could get more power out of AMD and still be happy and still be none the wiser, man. Like it just blows my mind that nobody's willing to give AMD nobody's willing to give AMD a try, simply because they just want that hamster wheel feeling, man. And that's the only way I know how to describe it. It just feels like you're on a hamster wheel. You're just running in a circle. You're just waiting for the next one. And, man, I don't like that. I just want to be able to enjoy my games, and I want you to be able to enjoy your games and have fun. So, all right, my friends, if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm sorry this one was long, but I was in such a bad mood today that I was seriously like, man, do I even want to keep making content for PC? And so I had to think about it, man. It's almost 10 o'clock at night. I had to think about this, and I had to stop myself, and I had to just say, no, dude, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to come out and just trash PC gaming. I just need to come out and try to articulate my thoughts the best I can, and talk about, just kind of be real for a minute, man. So that's the thing I like to do on this channel is just be real. So if you made it this far, awesome. You're a freaking trooper. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.